first National Executive Director from Williamsburg, Virginia. Over the last 24 years, I've lived my dreams with my Pampered Chef business. I've earned fabulous income, many awards, trips, and career advancements. But I am most proud of our recent promotion last June 2017 to a national executive team and how we continue to grow exponentially because of the new philosophies that we've adopted. Now, when I say exponential, here's what I mean. Since January 2018, we've had 49 new promotions on our team. Wow! 14 upper-level promotions, including one new executive that we just celebrated at conference and a second executive in qualification this month. 35 of them are new director promotions since January. Yes. This story is about vision, it's about partnership, it's about resilience, and it's about hard work. We hope to remind each and every one of you that you have the power to have it all and make your dreams come true with your Pampered Chef business. It's also a story about the power of having a Pampered Chef buddy. I have been very fortunate that throughout my career, I've always had a buddy, or several, that have helped me keep the excitement and energy in my business. As an independent contractor, we work alone from home. And sometimes that's lonely, and it's hard to be the boss and the employee. I have always seen my greatest success when I've had a buddy to share it with, someone to bounce ideas, someone to share my goals with. And over the years, I've partnered with like-minded leaders to run training programs or do monthly phone calls. And they were always the highlight of my month. And recently, I have been blessed with a buddy on my own personal team, Claudia Bazaar. I realize that when you have someone that has similar goals and they are on your personal team, well, it will create a powerhouse. Today, Claudia and I provide support, guidance, friendship, accountability to each other. We are committed to each other's success. And you know, it's normal for me to be committed to her success because I'm her director. But what makes this partnership so special is her commitment to my success. She kicks me in the butt when I need it, and she's not afraid to challenge ideas and programs. And my hope is for each of you to find a buddy like that positive someone that you can share the ups and downs of your business, someone that will motivate and inspire and hold you accountable. Commit to this conference. Commit to finding at least one buddy, either here or as you leave, that you can talk to almost every day to help keep you on track with your goals. And think of them as your new business partner. We call ourselves work wives. With that said, please help me welcome my buddy, my co-presenter, 2017 Circle of Honor Achiever in Developing Leaders, U.S. Senior Executive Director, Claudia Bazaar.
Today, and my hope is to help you dream big and share what's possible. And I totally agree with Donna on the value of having a Pampered Chef buddy. Remember, we are in business for ourselves, but never by ourselves. Everything is so much better with a buddy. So let me take you through my journey with Pampered Chef and how it all started. I was introduced to Pampered Chef when I was 24 years old. I was a newlywed, and I was 6 months pregnant with my first child. I had just left my hometown in Germany to follow my husband in his career as a soldier in the US Army. I was born and raised in Germany. However, my family's from Italy with a big passion for food. I wasn't familiar with Pampered Chef at all. I've never heard of it until my neighbor invited me to a party. I loved the cooking, and the new consultant that did the party was very well trained. So at the end of checkout, she asked me if I ever thought about doing something like Pampered Chef. So I said, you know what? Why not? So since she was new, she encouraged me to set up a 3-way call with her upline the next day so we could get all the questions answered. Well, that call was with Donna. She answered a couple questions and I was ready to order my kit. So when she said that I would need a social security number to order my kit, I was like, yeah, I don't have that yet. So she suggested to call her when I have it and I'm ready to sign up. She probably never thought she would hear from me again. Well, lucky for her, 6 months later, I got my green card, I got my social security number, and I was ready to call my consultant to sign up. She didn't answer my calls or my emails. So I found Donna and called her directly and told her I was ready to join. I'm sure she was a bit shocked. So it goes to show you that sometimes it's not about who you bring onto this business, but who your consultants are bringing on as well. And at that time, guys, I was a totally different person. I was very shy and not confident at all. Can anybody else relate? And sometimes my husband still asks, he's like, where did my shy German girlfriend go? So because I was so nervous, I made it a priority to attend any training that Donna would offer to make me feel more confident in this Pampered Chef side gig that I had just started. I remember attending my very first new consultant training at her house. I arrived at a huge house and I was already like, wow, mesmerized. The new consultant training was always the same cooking show training back then. The consultants would get to practice the words to say during a show, and we would even get little cheat cards to make it simple and duplicatable. And after the cooking show training part, I remember Donna going into training mode and having us come up with a list of contacts to start reaching out to. Well, I was the oddball out because I had just moved to the US 6 months ago, so I only knew like a handful of people. I couldn't rely on my family because, well, they were in a different country. I didn't have any kids, so I didn't have any contacts through them. So this goes to show you that you don't need a lot of people to start, but you do need to start. And that first evening I met Donna, she also shared her commission statement of $14,000 to show the possibilities that are out there with this business. I was the silly one that asked, is that for like the entire year? People really can make that much money in 1 month? Wow, that seemed like crazy, right? So I went home that night after attending that very first new consultant training, all pumped up, and I told my husband, I'm going to be the next Donna Landy. I wanted what she had. I wanted that big house, and I wanted that check. So to this day, Donna also helped me at my first launch party, and she came to my house to pretty much run the show. I remember her being on crutches and during the show sitting while she was delegating and explaining. I was super impressed that she showed up to help me with my launch party even though she couldn't even stand. And that night she helped me sign my first team member and I got my first 2 shows booked. I was, again, so nervous to do these cooking shows that I practiced, back then it was the barbecue chicken slider recipe, over and over every day at my house. To this point where we got really sick and tired of eating it. And my husband was like, no more barbecue chicken sliders. And if If you ever get to meet him, you can ask him. He still talks about it. And he was actually also the first one to help me set my first goals. He never really took my business seriously at the beginning, and he once jokingly said that unless I made $500 a month, it would just be kind of considered a hobby. Well, I accepted the challenge and went just after that, because that comment just fueled me even more. So I only took a short break from doing shows after I delivered my son. My husband managed our newborn at home in the evenings while I did my shows. And many people advised me that if I took too long of a break, it would be so much harder to come back. I was always on the lookout for different community groups that I could join via the internet to get me out there and really meet more people. So I did all kinds of vendor events, and I also joined different moms clubs and like international German or Italian groups. It fed my need to meet people and make new friends. But it also put myself out there with my new business. And that first year, I accomplished my goal of earning about $500 a month. I sold about $10,000 total for the entire year, and I recruited 6 new consultants.
Claudia and I have similar backgrounds, as I was also a military spouse, and my kids were 1 and 2 when I started. I started for the kid, the great deal on the kid. Anyone relate to that? But I soon realized that this business could be the answer to my prayers. After only a couple of months in the business, my director moved, and I met her upline director, Patsy McGovern. And I remember her showing me her commission check, and it was about $2,600 for doing 8 to 10 shows. So a light bulb went off, and I thought, wow, if I could work this business part-time and earn $2,600 a month, I could stay home with my 2 kids and not have to go back to a full-time job as a computer systems analyst. I remember saying, how do I do that? And she said the secret to her success was always doing at least 8 cooking shows, and she encouraged me to attend conference. So I took her advice, and I attended that next conference, and just a few months later, she showed me her check, and it was as a new executive, and it was over $7,000. So I left that conference with a new vision of where my business was going. And that conference gave me a big picture of what Pampered Chef has to offer. I realized that this business was so much more than selling cooking tools. It was a place where I could truly serve others and help others too. And I could do it while providing meaningful income for my family and recognition and validation for me. It was a place where I could use all my skills from college and past work experiences and build something more for my family. It was a place where I could truly have it all. And I went back home from that conference and committed to making this a business and not just a part-time hobby. And I remember the trip announcement, it was to Disney. And I thought, I am doing everything possible to earn this for my family. So that year, I did over 100 cooking shows, at least 8 per month, and I recruited over 20 new consultants. As a result, I immediately promoted to director, and then 6 months later to advance. Listen, the fastest way to move up the career plan is to lead by example and then share it with others. I call it paying it forward. Recruiting is just paying it forward. After my first year in this business, my husband's military career caused many deployments and many moves. 7 moves in the next 6 years, and 2 of them were internationally to Germany. Pampered Chef was the only stable thing in our lives at the time, and I was constantly a new consultant, constantly restarting my business in new locations. I had to learn the critical skills of networking and making contacts. And I was always eager to teach these tips to all my consultants. 3 contacts a day, 15 a week, contacts, contacts, contacts. And Claudia was a great student of the business and was always willing to try the suggestions that I gave her. You know, back then, we didn't have the internet or Facebook like we do now. So she had to step out of her comfort zone and find ways to meet new people. And today, it's so much easier. We actually teach our consultants to make at least 50 to 100 Facebook outreaches while setting up their first new shows. Things haven't really changed. It's still all about contacts.
So shortly after I started, I was on my way to director. Donna was running a director-bound program and buddied me up with another consultant. There's that buddy word again. We would have 3-way calls and weekly calls. And I remember dreading those Monday calls I had with her because I had to make sure my homework was done. I didn't want to disappoint her and disrespect her time. So the accountability was huge. But I was definitely working those Sunday nights, catching up on what I needed to do. And that last-minute pressure and accountability helped for sure. Once my son Marco turned 1 a few months later, as a stay-at-home mom, I quickly realized I wanted more to fuel me. So I decided to go back to work full-time as a travel agent and do my business part-time alongside my full-time job. I averaged about 4 shows a month back then, which barely helped me maintain my directorship. I was still making about $500 a month, and I was definitely struggling. And I realized that 4 shows was not enough to be a strong, growing director. So fast forward a year after my second child was born, the daycare expenses were taking half of my full-time income. And I knew that this was just not going to work. I wasn't happy that my kids were spending more time in daycare than with me. And I was really basically working to pay for daycare. I was struggling with wanting to be a mom and stay home with them, but also wanting a career for myself. I think a lot of us moms goes through that, right? It wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to be a mom who would be there for their children when they needed me, but I also wanted to have a career. So the struggle was real. And it was at that moment that I realized I could be making more money working Pampered Chef part-time, doing about 2 cooking shows a week, if I would just take it serious and not just treat it like a hobby. Plus, it would allow me to be with my kids, but also leave them when I needed a break. It would allow me to have the income that I desired and support my husband's military career because I could do this business from anywhere. It's just so flexible, right? So that year, when our move to Korea approached, I decided to not work for someone else and make the money I need with my Pampered Chef business. So as the military sent us overseas to Korea for 2 years, and we arrived there, I was bound and determined to put myself out there in the community right away. Again, I joined all kinds of groups I could find and signed up for any events. I even started my own mom's play group to get the kids and moms together and joined a mommy workout group. I slowly got my feet wet and got some friends to be my very first hosts. Now remember, this is all way before virtual parties. I was determined to not recruit while I was in Korea. Not recruit. Crazy, right? What was I thinking, silly me? But here's my thought. There was like 600 families there, and I didn't want it to be saturated. And there really wouldn't be business for all of us, right? Can anyone relate that lives like in a small town or community? So luckily for me, after doing a cooking show, one of my hosts approached me after her party about doing what I do. She had so much fun and wanted to do what I did. Yeah, you should have seen my face. In my head, I thought, oh no way there's room for 2 of us here. No way, not happening. So, because I didn't know how to kindly decline her joining me, I reached out to Donna and I asked her how I should tell this host she can't join my team. So she probably thought it was crazy, or the Korean smog like clogged up my head. So we hopped on a call right away, and she helped me see the big picture. She reminded me that even if I did 10 cooking shows a month, I would only reach about 80 houses in a year, and there were 600 of them. She painted the picture of consultants joining and moving all over the US and having a team spread across the country. It was at that moment I got it and the light bulb went off. And I'm so thankful for the vision she helped me create, because it is now a reality. So I started recruiting like crazy and growing my team. I even traveled like 2 hours on Korean roads, couldn't read a thing, to do a vendor event at like a nearby military base to help expand my business, which led to even more growth. And soon, my consultants wanted to start growing a team. And with Donna's coaching help, I promoted my first and then second director in 2014. We did a lot of 3 and 4 week calls, since this was way before Zoom calls and any of that was popular. I really had no idea how to help them grow, but I knew that she did. So I just watched the master go to work and listened and absorbed her knowledge. So with her help, I was able to promote to advanced director in 2014. And back then, as an advanced director, I was averaging about $3,000 to $5,000 in sales a month, making about $2,000 in commission, which is what I used to make working full-time as a government travel agent, working about 40 hours a week. I also earned my first trip to San Diego, and Pampered Chef flew me and my husband in from Korea, and after that, he was totally sold. So I'm so grateful that Donna reminded me halfway through that year that I could totally still earn this trip, or I would have never gone after it. I always thought only like the big rock stars earn a free trip, or you had to sell like $1 million. But as long as you work your business part-time, consistently, everyone can earn a trip. And honestly, guys, with this day and age, you can literally earn a trip in just a few short months. So make sure that you guys keep your eye on the price this year.
Absolutely. And with Claudia in Korea, it was a little challenging to stay in touch. It's 13 hours ahead of East Coast time. So that was a real killer when we were coaching for month-end deadlines, as you can imagine, right? And leaders and consultants here, I want you to know that you can maintain support and coaching regardless of physical location, especially with today's internet world. Most of my communication with my team is via Facebook, Zoom, or messaging, or chats right now. What always impressed me about Claudia was that she listened. I coach and I provide suggestions to many consultants, but many choose not to take action. And Claudia has always held an open mind and would always take advantage of any training for herself and her team. And it's that learning attitude that sets her apart.
So after our 2 years in Korea were up, we were ready for a second international move back to the US. Here I was, a new consultant all over again, relaunching in a brand new state. I got really used to the benefits of working from home, that going back to a regular job was really not an option. I really liked working in my yoga pants. But things were a little different this time. That first year back was a struggle. So without hardly selling anything those first few months, my check dropped to $600. I also lost both of my very first directors, and I was struggling to keep my advanced directorship. I remember how devastated I was to lose that first director. I saw my team crumbling, and I wasn't sure what to do next. And I was starting to question myself, and if I was really cut out to be successful in direct sales, and if it would just be easier to go get a real job. The rebuild wasn't going as fast as I hoped it would go, but it was slowly, very slowly, moving forward. I remember having my first team meeting in New York with only 2 consultants around the table, but I did it anyways, keeping my vision of building a team in New York. And by that summer, I realized that I was like so behind on trip points. And in August, I called a meeting with the board of directors at home. That's why I call my husband. And I told my husband if we wanted to earn the level 2 Atlantis trip, I would have to book as many shows as I could get. And he needed to stay home with the kids those nights. We made a plan and agreed it was worth it. And it really helps when you share your goals with your husband or significant other or a friend to help you keep accountable. So as I came home from my shows, he would ask me every single time how it went, how many more points we needed for this Atlantis Bahamas trip. So that August, I had 11 shows. In September, I had 9. October, I had 17. And November, I had 15. So with that show schedule and 16 new team members since August, I earned not only level 2, but level 3 for the first time ever that year. And guys, I can't push this enough, that you need to set a goal, a dream, a why for yourself to push you to the next level. If you do not have a reason of why you're in this business, then you're not going to push yourself to reach for more. And you know, sometimes we have to make sacrifices in order to reach our dreams. I sacrificed 3 nights a week with my family to have shows back then. But I knew I was helping my family pay off debt and work towards a future of financial freedom. And I know, and I truly believe, that we have the best job ever, and I do not work 40 hours a week behind a desk letting others tell me what I have to do and when. And with all those shows and my business booming again, and with Donna's support, we started promoting 4 directors in 1 month and promoted to senior director team. I was like on a roll. I really valued her help and support and would actively participate and try to learn as much as I could from each coaching call she did. I attended Donna's Leaders Retreat back in October of 2015 and celebrated my promotion with team members and home office staff.
You know, we all go through those kind of struggles that Claudia just talked about. And she really shares this, but constantly moving and being a single parent when your husband's deployed, or moving internationally, or being away from family, or having aging parents, I know in my case, dealing with death and babies and illness, these are all life happenings that can cause major setbacks and struggles in your business. But it's how you deal with it that will determine your outcome. I know what it's like to lose title. Within 2 years of promoting to the level of executive director, I lost that title. And I know today that the reason I lost it was that I stopped doing the things that got me there. I thought that once you achieve title, you don't have to keep doing the same amount of shows or recruit the same amount of people. But I know today that the people that got you to that level will probably not be the people that will keep you at that level. So you must continue to grow. You must continue to work your own personal business. I remember attending that conference as a wounded and broken leader. Maybe some of you can even relate. But I left that conference stronger and more committed than ever. And within a very short time, we regained our title and promoted to a senior executive team.
Woo! Yeah!
So remember that sometimes you have to go backwards in order to move forward. Don't look at it as failure. Look at it as a growth opportunity. An arrow can only be shot by pulling it backwards, right? So when life is dragging you back with its difficulties, it means that it's going to launch you into something amazing. So just focus and keep aiming. Last year, when we ran for national, in our first month of qualification in April, my dad passed away. And it was really, really hard, as you can imagine. And I really thought about throwing in the towel. I thought, maybe this wasn't my time. But I knew my dad didn't want me to quit. And I also knew that this promotion was not about me. That there were a lot of consultants and directors that were working so hard to make it happen. I had a lot of support and help. And I could have made excuses, but instead, I chose to follow my dream and push through it. And I am so glad we did. You know, the best part of Pampered Chef, having a Pampered Chef business, is that we do have choices. And where there's a why, there's a way, yes. And there's a saying, if you really want something, you'll find a way, or if not, you'll find a excuse. One of my favorite stories, speaking of that, is Claudia and her Atlantis deer story. Wait till you hear this one.
So yes, that is definitely a funny one looking back now, but it surely wasn't that. So my husband and I were leaving at like 3 a.m. to get to the airport about 90 miles from my house, to that Atlantis trip that I worked so hard for, right? I was driving, and 20 minutes into the drive, I hit a deer for the first time ever. My car was fuming, yeah, and we were in shock, but luckily we were fine. The first thing out of my husband's mouth was, well, you need to call Pampered Chef and tell them we can't make it. Excuse me? What did you just say? No way was that deer getting in the way of me and my hard work for a vacation. So I told him to relax. We called the tow company, a police station, and they came and towed our car. In the meantime, I was calling one of my very good friends to see if they could take us to the airport so we could still make our flight on time. My friend shows up, we hop in his car, and we get about an hour into the drive. And mind you, like 10 minutes from the airport, and his car just dies. In the middle of the highway, just shuts off completely. I was like, are you kidding me? So again, my husband says, listen, you really need to call Pampered Chef and tell them we're not getting on that flight. I was like, no, we have like 30 minutes. We can totally do this. So I call a taxi, and that taxi picks us up in the middle of the highway, and we make it to the airport with like 5 minutes to spare. Yes.
Right? Now that, my friends, is resilience. Commitment to the goal and determination, if I've ever heard it or seen it. I remember that story when she called me. Resilience is the capacity to prepare for disruptions, recover from shocks and stresses, and adapt and grow from a disruptive experience. This truly is an example of how life will throw you curveballs, and you never know when to expect it, but it's how you react that will change your path. I want to share a tool that Claudia and I use, and we've been using for several years, and it's called the GROW model. Maybe you're familiar with it. We use this in every aspect of our business, and we teach it to all consultants, especially new consultants. But it also applies to your everyday life and your family. Now, Claudia's goal was to get to Atlantis, right? So that was her goal. G stands for goal. What do you want? R stands for reality. What was her reality? She didn't have a way to get to the airport, did she? So O stands for options or opportunities. So what were her options? She came up with some creative ones. Call a cab, call a friend. She could go home. And finally, W, will. What will you do? This is the important one. What did she do? She called a friend. Now, how many of you might have listened to your hubby and turned around and gone home? Or maybe felt defeated, right? Frustrated, helpless, victimized. Those are some words that come to mind when I think of that story. I always say that 80% of what we worry about has either already happened or will never happen. So don't waste your time worrying about it, right? And she's a good one for that. So spend your time instead focusing on what you do have control over and keep your goals in front of you every day. Now, this is a pretty silly story of how Claudia's brain works, but it is how it works. She's taught me that resilience. She always keeps, again, this grow model as a focus, and she's helped me to learn to keep it as a focus for everything we do. And like I said, her resilience is rubbing off on me. She's also taught me the importance of not only having a backup plan, but to have many backup plans. You'll always hear her say that she has a plan, right? She plans to succeed, because if you don't plan to succeed, right, you're planning to not succeed or take what's dealt to you. So if plan A fails, remember there are 25 letters left. And let me just tell you, when we were going for our double promotion last year, I think we used most of the alphabet. So let me fast forward to 2 years ago, February 2016. Claudia and I both committed to a program called LEAD. Some of you are familiar with it. Yes, a leadership program from home office. And the program required participants to lead by example with at least 8 shows a month and 2 signed consultants per month. There was monthly accountability, there was homework, and there was training. Now, for a senior executive leader, that was a big commitment. And I was one of the few executive leaders that committed to participating. But I only did it because I had 3 directors that were committed to the program, and I've always felt that I should never ask my consultants to do things that I wouldn't do myself. But little did I know how much it was going to help me. Because this consistent show schedule, this influx of new team members, helped build incredible momentum in my team, and it spiraled into my entire downline. It also rebuilt my confidence and my belief in this business. And I was more in tune with what was working for host coaching and bookings and sales. Your personal business must always be the core of everything you do. And as a result of that commitment, the following year, I did something I had never done in 24 years. I earned excellence in 3 categories. So on an important side note, I know I've mentioned a lot that 8 shows will make you great, and 8 shows is the magic number. But if you are a virtual consultant, you want to think double. Over the last several months, Claudia and I have really beefed up our virtual business. And we know that virtual consultants should be committing to 16 shows per month or 4 per week, running simultaneously. And at least 2 to 4 recruits per month to have the same success. Contacts would also be doubled, since online results are different than in person. Now that might sound like a lot, but it's so easy because you are doing it in batches, right from your phone and right from your computer.
So yes, definitely 8 shows a month and 2 recruits is what really opened the door for both of us for more opportunities. And it's so important to share that conversion for virtual parties. So as part of this lead training we were invited to, we had to attend a seminar at home office. And it was there that I had that aha moment and everything changed. I was in a room full of pampered chef rock stars, as we like to call them. People that were selling more than me, recruiting more than me. They had huge teams and they've been in this business for like years. I didn't say or speak up at all that first day. I questioned myself the entire time I was there. Why was I here and in the same room with those people? I could never have what they have. They have it all. Anyone ever thought that? Or you might be thinking that right now as you saw some of your rock stars getting recognized on stage during this conference. But it was one activity that changed my career. One activity that allowed me to stretch and dream. And it was at that moment that I knew I could have anything and everything I wanted from this business if I was willing to work for it. Home office really helped create that picture and that vision so clear that I could see myself and others in it. And for the first time, I could see my career as becoming an executive team and celebrating with them at conference. And I thought to myself, why not me and why not now? What am I waiting for? The activity they had us do was basically to help us create a vision of where we wanted to take this business. A vision that we could feel and sense with every molecule in our body. A vision that would make us get up and go to work even if we don't feel like it. So I would love to go together with you guys through this. So grab a quick piece of paper or something, or your phone. And I want you to answer this question for me. If you knew you could not fail, what would your business look like by the end of this year? If you knew you could not fail, what would it look like by the end of this year? And what will you be recognized on this stage for next year? How many team members are you going to have? And how much money will you be making? And most importantly, how has your life been changed for the better? Not so easy, right? Now I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Close your eyes. And I want you to imagine what it will feel like when you accomplish it. What will it feel like when that consistent, hard work is finally paying off? Who is there with you, celebrating with you? Are you going to be celebrating in next year's conference with your new team members? Can you guys feel it? Can you see it? Anybody? So I could see my vision of being an executive team come to life during that exercise. I knew I had a ton of work to do, but I was really pumped and excited. So one of the things that we were taught in Lead Plus was to have a vision board of where you are now and where you would like to be. So for the first time ever, I created one for our Bazaar bullet train team. That's what we go by. It doesn't matter how big or how small your team is, or your goal, but you have to put that vision out there to them. So as you see, we pretty much had 3 months to double the directors we had in order to promote by conference. And lots of people thought it was a little crazy to go after a big goal like this in such a short amount of time. But I was bound and determined to make it happen. There was just no way it was not going to happen. And failure was not an option. So I presented this vision board to my team and made that my sole focus for the next 3 months, 90 days. We worked and grew together as a team during this time and became closer than we were ever before. And with the help of my amazing team and Donna's guidance, we promoted to an executive team as of July 1st, 2016. And it was through that promotion that I realized nothing can stop me from achieving my goals except my own fear. If I believed that I could do it and I would promise myself to do the steps needed, I could have and be anything I wanted to be. That year, I also earned excellence for the first time ever in 3 categories and top 5 for recruiting. I was like in total shock because I really had no idea what a big deal it was until I got to conference. So we can all dream about what it would be like to reach your goals. But a dream without a goal is just that, a fantasy.
You know, there's so much satisfaction in helping your consultants achieve their goals and dreams. It's my passion. And Claudia was clueless about how amazing the trifecta was. I mean, 3 categories in excellence: sales, recruiting, developing leaders, and being in the top 20 too. It was so fun to experience conference with her innocent eyes. And even more exciting was watching the changes in her, from consultant to director to inspirational leader. And within a short time, she had promoted enough directors to be within reach of senior executive level. And when I mentioned to her that I was ready to lead our team to a national team, she immediately said, "Let's do this together." And we did. We talked daily, we strategized, we laughed, we cried, we drank a lot of wine. And we ate a lot of chips, my stress reliever. And she even had chips and wine delivered on the last few days of qualification. But it was during those daily calls that we would come up with all the plans and help each other work on what was next towards our goal. Promoting to a national team was something I have dreamed of for so many years. But it wasn't until I attended that lead seminar and went through that same exercise at home office that I got a glimpse and a vision of what it would look like and feel like. And guys, it made me cry. It took several months for me to finally believe that it could happen. But it's the minute you believe it, the minute that without a doubt that you commit to making it happen, the minute you cry, that's when, trust me, you will know it, because you will feel it like a power like no other. And it's as simple as flipping a switch in your head and believing you can. And this is the most powerful thing that you can teach all your upcoming promotees. And today we do share this on every training call. And on a personal note, my family has grown through every stage with Pampered Chef. From toddler to preschool, elementary school, private high schools, college, and now adulthood. This business has given us so many blessings. And some days, I really need to pinch myself at how lucky I am to have fallen into this opportunity. We've been able to give our children the things that so many people dream of: a debt-free college education, extra income for us to pay for private high schools and extra activities and special camps. I was the mom that could attend every event and every field trip if I wanted to, because I was my own boss. And a few years ago, we built and fully newly furnished our dream home. For decades, we've gone on fabulous vacations paid for by the Pampered Chef, decades, and so much more. But what I did not know was the impact that I would have on our kids and on their futures. Today, they are independent thinkers. They have business sense and a will to be independent. My son, at 23, totally with his own funds, bought his first house. Both pay their own bills, including car insurance, phone, right? And last year, my daughter started her own small business so she could build something for herself instead of for someone else. As home business owners, we are role models for our kids. We teach them goal setting and planning and accountability, recognition and coaching. And with the decision to own a home-based business, there were many, many times that I wondered if this was the right thing for my family. It's a lot of work. Our business is flexible, but it's not optional, right? And even though I always had choices, there were many sacrifices that had to be made. To be successful in my business, I had to commit to investing as much time as I would if I worked for someone else. And there were some ball games and swim meets and other events that I had to miss. But the great part was that I could always make that choice, and no one else was telling me what to do.
Yes, and I'm so glad I was offered the same opportunity. Today, at 32 years old, I run a $2 million organization with 400 people in it. Working from home, having my own schedule, and being able to help pay the bills. Truly living the dream. So what started as a fun side gig has turned into a way for me to provide meaningful income for my family. We no longer live paycheck to paycheck. This extra income has helped us pay off over $30,000 of debt, purchase a second car, and exactly 1 year ago, we bought our first house. And my highest check this year to date was over $11,500 in 1 month. But most importantly, Pampered Chef has allowed me to be the mom I want to be for my children, Marco, who's 8, and Gigi, who's 6. It allows me to spoil my kids with all those little things that I never had as a child. It allows me to take my family on a free trip every year, paid by Pampered Chef. So having the extra income and flexibility just gives me so many options and choices in my life. I love that I have the freedom to fly in my parents from Italy when I want to, so they can spend time with their grandkids as they get older too. Pampered Chef is truly beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And sometimes I have to pinch myself and truly say, wow, did this really happen? Is this really happening? To be the youngest senior executive director in the history of Pampered Chef? But it all starts with setting those scary goals. And you might be sitting here and have already figured out your big scary goal. Or you might think about it on your way home. I'm here to tell you today that if it doesn't scare you, it is not big enough. And I can truly say I owe my success to my upline, Donna, Landy. I truly did and still do what she tells me to do. Sometimes I do it with no questions asked. And sometimes I try to fight her on it. But reality is, she still has what I desire. So utilize your upline and your support system. They're there for a reason. Your leaders are your mentors. A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you can see in yourself. And and they help bring it out of you. And that's what we do. So promise yourself that you will always match the efforts of your mentor. They can only help if you communicate with them and keep them updated. They want to hear the good and the bad, so they can help brainstorm and help you overcome those obstacles. So if you have someone in this business that you look up to, mimic them. Look at what they're doing every day to get where they want to go. Reach out for help. You don't have to do this alone. I know for sure I wouldn't have the success I'm experiencing today if it wasn't for my mentor and leader. And we aren't done. Don't ever think you're done learning and you got it all figured out and you're all good to go. You're never done learning if you want to keep growing. So as you continue in this journey to inspire yourself and your team, ask yourself this. Is what I'm doing today, is what I'm doing this week or this month, inspiring me and my team to want more? Am I really leading by example? And am I willing to do what I'm asking others to do? You know, I hear a lot of times, well, you're Claudia Bazaar, you're so young, you're only 32 years old, yada, 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 right? I could never do what you do. And maybe that's you sitting in the audience today, thinking, wow, she looks like she's got it all together, and I'm over here struggling with booking, recruiting, or growing a team. But here's the deal. We all must start somewhere, and we can all influence our own future. I don't have it all together. I wish I did, but I don't. And you know, not a lot of people know this, but I grew up in an environment where we didn't have a lot of money. My mom passed away when I was 10. So my dad was left with a 10 and a 5-year-old, and you know, he had to figure things out. He did the best he could, but I knew at an early age that I wanted more. So I started working at the age of 14 so I could have all those extra little things that I wanted as a teenager. I've worked all the time with some sort of side gig, even having to help my dad pay the bills at times. I was the first in my family to attend an elite school because I worked hard from an early age. So don't let your circumstances define you. You can define your circumstances.
Yeah.
And whatever you have now, if that's not what you want, if that's not what you want for your children, change it. You have the opportunity to change your life. And maybe you're sitting here today and are like I was, shy and insecure. Maybe you're newlywed, a new mom, or a full-time worker, just like I was, looking for that extra side gig in your life. Imagine what it would feel like having the flexibility and income that you desire on your own terms. I know many of you want more for your children, and I know that this business is something you do for your children, not against them. Always remember that. You can help your children's future right now, today. You can decide if you will help them have a debt-free college education, just like Donna has done. And that is one of my big goals. And thankfully, I still have some time. Making sure I make enough money so my kids can go to any college that they want, and not which one I can or cannot afford. And I picture the day where they're ready to apply to colleges, and I can tell them, yes, you can go to this college or that one. But then I also picture myself having to say, no, you can't, I'm sorry. I didn't work hard enough for you. I didn't overcome my struggles and my fears, so you can't attend this college that you would like to go to. And that is one of the moments I play in my head over and over to keep me moving and working. So always remember that you can determine and help your kids' future with your Pampered Chef business. And so much has happened since that young, shy military wife started her journey 8 years ago. 2 kids and 2 military moves and many relaunches of my business. Pampered Chef has truly turned me into a strong, independent woman. I truly believe that I have the power to do anything I want in life because I've proven to myself that if I work hard on a set goal, and as long as I don't quit, I will eventually get there. Sometimes faster than other times. But it's the promises that I make to myself that I am not willing to break. So find what it is that you want, and every time you find yourself ready to quit, promise yourself to not break that promise. Not this time and not ever. And this year, our goal is to be the youngest national executive team at the Pampered Chef. And that's a big, scary goal, totally terrifying. But my team has grown so much and worked so hard that we all deserve to help shape the next generation of Pampered Chef. We have proven that with teamwork and commitment, we will be celebrating our team promotion very soon. And you know, I don't want it just for me. I don't want it just for the title. I want it for them. I want to show my team and my children that the sky has no limits and that dreams can come true if you're willing to believe and never quit. I want to be the role model so they can too have it all. So they know that they're part of change and something bigger than themselves. And that they helped open the doors the way upcoming rising leaders look at what's possible in this company. And with this age and time, I believe it doesn't have to take you 8 years like it's taken me. I'm confident that within a year or 2, you can totally go from 0 to hero if you're ready to run that marathon. So this is where we are now. We have embraced the vision of Wizard of Oz and the Red Ruby Slippers. The Red Ruby Slippers represent directorship, but basically represent the dream that anything is possible, and you too can have it all. You have had the power all along, my dear. So I'm going to ask you the same question again that I was asked at my Lead Plus training, and end with this quote. What are you dreaming of? Why? Why not? Why not you? And why not now? Thank you.